played loads this month.
Have
It's been
you?
reasonably busy for me, probably because we're approaching the end of term at school. Things are slowing down. It's been very busy in the days, but then that also means sometimes you need quite a lot of downtime in the evening to manage the busy days in the day and then the downtime, backwards and forwards. But since we last spoke, I went on to beat Deadly Premonition 100%.
Hey, well done.
Entirely on the Steam Deck, all side missions, all collectibles, all achievements. And I'm pretty confident at this stage that the game is more stable and playable on the deck running via Proton under Linux than it is on Windows natively.
Amazing.
Like, during my many hours of tinkering and troubleshooting, I'd sometimes go back to my laptop install to kind of test things out. And every time the game either didn't boot or would run at single-digit frame rates, still had wonky controls, the same issues I was fighting in the Steam Deck. Whereas with my guide on the deck, it was a flawless 60 frames a second from start to finish. And in the 40 or so hours the game took to beat, I experienced a total of 2 crashes during the story campaign, a handful more when I was mopping up all the side tasks at the end. But almost all of these also affect the regular PC build as well, because I think there is like memory leaks or something in the game code itself. So whilst they were a bit frustrating, they can't really be mitigated wherever you play it. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
The game, though, I did say last episode that I would review it properly when I'd beaten it fully, which I've now done. And here I am to say that for me, I think this earns a place somewhere in the top 100.
Oh,
I loved it that much. Like, not super high up. It's not like a top 50. It's the back half, but somewhere. And it's a game that really feels of the era of its release, whilst simultaneously feeling out of step and time completely. It's got such a specific design vision, just like it's bonkers, it's action, it's occasionally busted, and it means that in the same way that watching Twin Peaks, sometimes there are scenes where like a boom mic will enter a shot and it's been left in the final edit, intentionally, you assume. It's sometimes impossible to ascertain whether in Deadly Premonition things are happening as a result of technical limitations, incompetence, or actual direction, and
or a combination of all of them.
Yeah, it could well be, and it's really thrilling, honestly. Like, it's a real devil may care approach to game design, it feels like.
Brilliant. Like free climbing.
Yeah. You could fall at any time. The thing Deadly Premonition does really, really well is in selling the narrative that your character, Francis York Morgan, is a high-flying city detective who is suddenly plunged into the peaceful backwaters of Greenvale. And you do feel like a fish out of water kind of thing, that you're in a different place, because the map is confusing. You have to navigate it manually within the options menu in a surprisingly accurate simulation of being on a road trip in the 90s and watching your dad unfold like a massive A to Z or route planner across the steering wheel, like pre-sat navs. The quick travel system is completely hidden behind a series of side quests. I missed it completely on my actual campaign playthrough. Didn't unlock that until the end. Side missions can only be started and completed during certain campaign chapters, but also only at certain times of the day, but also only during certain weather conditions, meaning that you need to actually learn the routines of the town's residents. You need to check the weather on the TV. You need to work around your whole investigation really diligently. And it means that you can start and think, okay, I know what I'm going for, but I've got to remember that this character he'll be at work at this time, and he's gonna meet a friend at the bar at that time, and then maybe when he drives home, but on a rainy day he doesn't do that. And it's all these things you have to kind of bear in mind, and it can be frustrating, but it's frustrating by design. Like, it's really clearly frustrating by intention, because it complements the wider narrative.
Yeah,
and
just bogged down in the admin of being a detective.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of a game being slow or challenging or confusing or annoying if it's done with intentionality, I think.
Yeah.
And for Deadly Premonition, I really do feel like almost all of this kind of strangeness and awkwardness has been placed and chosen. So mechanically and narratively, it's all very purposeful.
Yeah.
And it's also a bit janky and broken as well. But like, on top of all these things together, it really does work. The story, which I won't spoil because I want at least someone to go away and play it after listening to me talk, it follows an obvious track up until it doesn't. It really does go off in strange ways towards the end. Side missions have kind of additional dialogue that will help you flesh out character motivations and complements the story by way of adding like dimensionality to the rest of the cast, which is really nice. The more time you spend in the world, the more you come to see the package and dressing as like oddly comforting in a strange way. It's very easy just an hour or two into the game to really buy into the town and the setting, despite it being kind of a spooky, supernatural, surreal thing.
Yeah.
Like, it does work, and you really do kind of invest yourself in it. The action scenes, that is the survival horror stuff, I guess, is probably the game's weakest component. Like, it's got pretty limp gunplay. It's relatively low in challenge right up until the game's end. But it doesn't really matter when viewed as kind of punctuation to all the other good stuff that pads the game out. And I think having the weird conversations and the fetch quests and the mini puzzles or mysteries, and then having a cruise in your car with your map out whilst your character is talking to himself about 80s B movies, it all works. And having those action scenes, I think, helps the game not to grow stale, because I think you could have a bit too much of the quirky stuff. But instead, just before you get to that point, it's like, oh, go and shoot a few guys and then come back and do a bit more of it. And I think it actually balances itself quite well, like one punctuating the other. It just fits together nicely. I enjoyed it so much. I've got Deadly Premonition 2 installed on the Steam Deck, ready to go.
Does that have anywhere near the same amount of issues? Is it
just works out
ready
the box?
That's surely less fun for you.
Exactly. I mean, I did my reading because I wanted to make sure like I knew what I was getting into. And it says, yeah, it should run pretty much without issue. But as you allude to, I can't lie and say I wasn't a bit sad that it wouldn't take a bit of effort to get working. So it's a win for my time. But when faffing about is part of the game for me, like, it's a win, but at what cost?
Yeah.
Like, there's loads of other games that I'm now interested to check out as well, because the director, who goes by the eponymous title Swery65, worked on, obviously, Deadly Premonition and its sequel, worked on another game that's kind of like an episodic Telltale style game called D4 Dark Dreams Don't Die, which again is in some way tangentially connected to Deadly Premonition, I think, in the same kind of in-universe type thing. But there's also all the other titles that he directed or wrote, like the PS2 games Extermination and Spy Fiction that I've now downloaded just in case I want to give them a play. There's a couple modern indie titles as well called The Good Life or The Missing. So two different games that I'm quite interested to check out now. They aren't connected to Deadly Premonition, but if I get that urge to really go deep over the summer, it's nice to know that there's more to explore in the oeuvre kind of thing. It's been a very long time since I've played a game that's made me feel this invested, not just in a game itself, but in kind of the wider development and connected fiction. So just really top stuff. I really, really loved it. And again, I've alluded to it before. There's a Reddit post that has the full guide if you want to play it on the Steam Deck. It's frequently on sale on Steam for like £1.
Yeah.
It's very broken unless you go through my guide, but it's out there and you can find it, and it would do you well to enjoy it.